Welcome, Husker fans. Thank you for tuning into Big Red Radio, the Husker Talk Show. I am your host, as always, Caleb Jenneret, and next to me is my co-host, Zach Jenneret. Zach, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Uh, I told someone today, this is the first game this is gonna sound crazy. This is the first game being a Husker fan that I was like, wow, maybe we won't win. Like honestly, this is the first game as a Husker fan that's like, wow. I mean, like honestly, like we may not win this game.
Yeah, Zach's hit rock bottom as a Husker fan.
What's
Before we
happened?
get into it,
I feel what everyone else is feeling now.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard. Welcome to the party. Not really a party. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, it's not a club either. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, make sure you stay till the end to see our score prediction for this big time game. But before we get into it, social shout out Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Um, Follow us over there to see all the updates we have, posting other content over there as well for our Facebook users. You guys have been enjoying that and getting a hold or getting back to us on that with feedback. And it's always fun to talk to you guys. Before we get into like the normal stuff, why we should be excited, why we should be scared, and then our X factors, I want to talk about the spread. It's a 31-point spread currently. Before I say what I think about it, Zach, what do you think about the spread?
Yeah, although I don't think we're gonna come out on top of this game. I mean, 31 is just our defense played lights out against maybe not lights out per se, but Mo Ibrahim and Chase Brown, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is his name. Two of the best running backs, not only in the Big Ten but also in the country. We kept it close against a really good offense in Purdue. I hate to say that we're a one score win or loss team because that's what everyone's been seeing and everyone's scared of these past few years. But I mean, you can always count on that. Nebraska's not going to get blown out. I guess Oklahoma, but that was a weird game. Just fired our coach. That was something that you just can't see coming. And yeah, I think 31 is way too high. I'd put the spread at like 21, maybe 18, 21.
Yeah. No, I
Especially with
think
Big Ten football. There's really nobody other than Rutgers that Michigan has blown out this
yeah,
year.
and even Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers was beating Michigan at half. So
Exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
if
we'll
you go
talk
to
about that a little
Michigan,
bit more, but
yeah. Oh, I guess they blew out Penn State.
yeah, but then again, like it was close at halftime also. So
And we're a second half team. I mean, we really are.
yeah, it hasn't
At
been
least
really the
we
past
were.
past couple weeks. Yeah, but so yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the spread is too big. I'm not personally going to put any money on it just because I told myself I'm not going to bet on Nebraska games, and I don't really want to touch this game. This seems like a game where it could be close, and then like a big play could just absolutely take momentum, and Michigan could just go rolling after that. So I'm not going to touch this game. Maybe I'll throw a little bit in like first half spread because I think Nebraska can keep it close at least in the first half. So, but we'll see. We'll see. This isn't a betting podcast, but maybe it can be. I don't know. All right, so let's get into it. Why we should be excited. It was tough. It it was tough to find reasons to be excited for this game. This game, like Zach mentioned, it's the first game he thought Nebraska's not going to win. But it's really the first time this season, at least, that I've sat down and thought to myself, like, there's really like not a good shot to win this game. Like, if you put the teams against each other, 99 times out of or maybe even more, like 900 times out of 1,000, Michigan wins this game. It's just going to take a lot, but it. I mean, there's reason to be excited. So my first one is Michigan has shown their flaws. Like they're not a perfect team as much as everyone wants to think they're a perfect team. They're not. Michigan State was up after the first quarter, down 6 at half, Rutgers was up 17-14 at half. Indiana was tied at half with them, only beat Maryland by 7. They only beat Iowa by 13. So they're not unbeatable. They're not these juggernauts that are just killing everyone. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later. They do eventually come out in all these games as their undefeated number 3 team in the nation, but they've shown weakness and not against really good teams. Like Nebraska beat Rutgers. Nebraska beat Indiana. Nebraska's supposed to play Iowa, but Iowa hasn't been a good team this year. Like there's weakness, and these aren't good teams that they're playing. So yeah, I think Nebraska can keep it close at least in the first half. And if you keep it close, there's always a chance. So that's my first reason why we should be excited.
Yeah, my first reason to be excited is Michigan, as far as offense goes, it feels like maybe we're seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Really good running back, not an incredible quarterback. He just puts the ball where it needs to be. JJ McCarthy is a little bit better than the other two
He's
as far
definitely
as
the
that,
best
but
quarterback we've played out of the Big Ten teams so far.
yeah, for sure. But he's also not CJ Stroud. He's not
Sure.
Bryce Young. He's not Hendon Hooker. He only has 12 touchdowns on the year. He does have, I mean, so does Case Thompson, but he has 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. So what that says to me is that he's going to put the ball where it needs to be. And then we see this all the time. They have Blake Corum, 199 carries for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. So great run team, really, right here. And we've seen that the last 2 games, and we've done well. We really have. We did well against Chase Brown. We did well against Mo Ibrahim. And so I feel like we can do well here. Maybe that gives us a shot. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I just feel like that is a reason to be excited, just to at least watch this team go out there and face another top back. And this defense is improving. It really is. And I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, 100%. So my next reason to be excited is Nebraska had every chance to do it last year. And we've seen this year that this team is more fired up than they were last year. They're maybe in some parts more talented, maybe some parts are not, but I think overall, I think as a roster, they're pretty even with how they were last year. So they ended up obviously losing it with it, but there was a chance to win. I mean, throughout that game, Nebraska had a shot to win, and they just played the game the way it needed to be played in order to have a chance. And I think you can look at that and say, why can't we do that again? Like, why can't Nebraska just do that again? And there's a lot of reasons why you think we can't, but we'll get to that later. But I just think, yeah, as you mentioned, Nebraska's been in these 1-score games over and over and over again. It seems like Nebraska just doesn't get blown out unless there's some weird coincidence. Like if you call the Illinois game a blowout, like our starting quarterback got hurt and a lot of stuff
It
happened.
wasn't.
Like
That game was a whole lot closer than it
right,
looked.
it was a whole lot closer than the score showed. And then yeah, the Oklahoma game was a blowout, but that was also like the week after firing coach. So not trying to make excuses, just saying like you could look at the scores of these games, but these games are all really close. So
Yeah, absolutely. My second reason to be excited is Mickey Joseph came out and said, "We're running the ball." He said I told Whipple, you got to run the ball here. I understand. He said he understands, pass heavy offense is where it came from, but in this Big Ten league, you got to slow down the game. Everyone else is slowing down the game. We know Nebraska can score fast with Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer, and Anthony Grant. It's possible. We know we can. And we've done it time and time again. But you got to go out and you got to win games by slowing the game down and pounding the rock and wearing defenses out, especially in this Big Ten. When you get defenses like Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, like some of the top defenses out there, Ohio State, some of the top defenses out there, you got to run the ball, pound the rock, and wear them down. And so I'm excited that maybe they're going to go towards that this game. And I'd like to see some others come out and start because Casey Thompson has been ruled out.
mm,
I don't think you can start Purdy. I don't. I mean, he played terrible last game. I think he's a great quarterback. I really do. If he's able to slow down in the pocket and take his time, I think he's an incredible quarterback that can do great things in Nebraska in the coming years. But right now, Smothers is a better quarterback.
yeah. And that kind of leads into what my final reason to be excited is Nebraska has the tools to keep it close. It's kind of like what I said last, or my last reason, but if you put Smothers at QB, he can run it effectively. We saw it last year against Iowa. We saw it a little bit last game. He's smart with the ball and he can run. Um, it's kind of different, but you can see both Smothers and Chuba can run the ball, but it's just different when Smothers is at quarterback because he's calm and he doesn't always just like take off. Like he gets like you see Chuba, he gets nervous in the pocket and he starts moving around and then he takes off. You see Smothers, he sits back there, waits for something to open up. There was a time where I wanted Smothers to run it and he didn't, but you see these like smart runs. There's more designed runs. He just seems like a smarter quarterback at this point, and he can really slow the game down. They need to run the clock to keep this game close. And I think, as you just said, Mickey Joseph already said they're going to run the ball. So you have Anthony Grant, you have Logan Smothers. You can run the ball, and you can if you can get some first downs and you can keep possession, it's going to be a close game, especially we've mentioned it already. If you look at the stats against this defense, it doesn't look like they stopped the run. But that's only because the offense hasn't stayed on the field for longer than 2 minutes at a time, and the defense gets no breaks. So these running backs, if the offense can get some first downs, get some drives going, these running backs we've played the last 2 weeks aren't going over 100 yards. Like what happens in these games is this defense gets worn down, and that's when you see the running backs start breaking off these 7, 10, 12, 15, 20-yard runs. And yeah, obviously the yardage piles up after that. But if Nebraska can keep it close, realistically, anything can happen. I just think keeping it close is going to be an issue, which is what we're going to get into next. But I think you have one more reason to be excited, right?
Yeah. So my final reason to be excited here is I just feel like we're playing with nothing to lose. I feel like I mean, everyone's counting us out of this game. There's no reason we should win this game. There's nothing at stake here, really, other than maybe getting to a bowl, I guess. But there's no reason to play tense here. So I feel like this team's going to go out and they're going to play loose and they're going to play for Mickey and they're going to play to have fun. And a lot of times when you see teams do that, really, really good things happen.
Mm.
And Michigan, they got everything to lose. They're number 3 in the country. They had a close game with us last year. They're probably looking towards Ohio State. Once you get into that playoff race, things get a little crazy. Tensions start to rise, and they're probably going to play a little stiff. And they're going to play a little timid, I'm sure, towards the start. And so we got to hop out and get on them early.
Yeah, 100%. So now moving on to why we should be scared. And unlike why we should be excited, it was not hard to pick 3 reasons to be scared in this game. It's just I'll just start with my first one because Nebraska's only won 3 games this year. They haven't played anybody as good as Michigan. Like Michigan's easily the best team Nebraska's going to play. And if you just look at Illinois, if you look at Illinois and Michigan's a lot like Illinois if Illinois was just better at every single thing they do. Like Michigan is Illinois on steroids. Like better running back, better quarterback, better receivers, better defense. Like it's legit. Like looking at the schedule, Nebraska's had a favorable schedule up to this point. Like if everything's going right, we say it all the time. Like if Mickey would have started the year, yeah, I think Nebraska's already bowl eligible. Like this schedule's been nothing compared to what we're about to see with Michigan. Even Oklahoma, like Oklahoma's a good team. Michigan would blow the doors off Oklahoma. Like it's different. It's just different. And Michigan's just different. I'm not saying Nebraska's not up to the task because I think they can keep this game close, but it's just, I mean, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah. So my first reason is we're an improving defense. We're not a good defense. We're building defense. All right. We're not a defense that's ready to stop a team that puts up 42.2 points per game, 465 yards a game, with 250 of those being rushing. And that's where I'm going to go. We allow 183 yards rushing a game. They usually rush for 250. And we haven't played a rushing team as good as Michigan. Like they made Iowa's defense look silly out there with Blake Corum. Uh, and so, yeah, and we got to find a way to get that defense off the field. You got to find a way. And if they're just going to continue to run the ball, we'll never get off the field because they're not going to move the ball very fast. And I think they want to. I don't think Michigan really cares if they win this game 21-10 and we get 5 minutes of possession the entire freaking game. I don't think they care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So my next reason is, yeah, Zach mentioned it earlier. Nebraska has, if you look at the season in general, they've been a second half team, but recently it's been the opposite. Like they've came out firing and then absolutely disappeared, at least offensively in the second half. Michigan's been the opposite. It's crazy. Like we mentioned, these games that were close in the first half, it gets out of hand quick. So Rutgers was beating them, and then Michigan outscored Rutgers 38-0 in the second half. Indiana was tied with them. Michigan outscores them 21-0 in the second half. Michigan State was, I think, down 6 to them at half. Then Michigan went on to outscore them 16-0. It's crazy. You see the halftime adjustments, and it's just good coaching. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is just a really good coach. Um, it's what Nebraska wants to be, really. And Nebraska has good halftime adjustments. We've seen it, but it's going to take a lot. And last week, there was no halftime adjustment. It seemed like, if anything, the halftime adjustments were the opposite of what should have been happening. So Nebraska's going to need to make some halftime adjustments, and they're going to need to keep this game close because, or even jump out to an early lead because Michigan's going to score in the second half, and those second half adjustments are going to be big time.
Yeah. My second reason to be scared is the most hostile, hardest, loudest environment we have played in this year outside of our own is at Purdue. And not to take a shot at Purdue or anything, but you're nothing compared to Ann Arbor. Like literally
Big
nothing.
house.
Like you are a high school atmosphere compared to the big house at number 3 in the nation, 9-0. I mean, it's gonna, and especially the young quarterback, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be hard to adjust to that, and that, I mean, because like we said, what we got to do is come out really fast and come out really hot. It's hard to do that when you got 110,000 people screaming down your neck at 20 years old. Like that's, yeah. I mean, it's going to be really, really hard. And that's just another reason why I think we should have Smothers in and not Trevor Purdy that gets scared
Yeah,
when we're in our own home stadium.
right. 100%. And yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, we have yet to see a competent offense for more than 2 quarters without, or 2 drives without Casey Thompson, and he's not playing this week. So I think we have a better looking offense if Smother starts. But being honest, I still don't think it's great. Like it's definitely better, but I mean, what's better to a complete zero? Like, so this offense against this defense, the matchup doesn't look good on paper. I'll just say that. It's tough, man. Michigan's so good. I feel like we just keep saying it over and over and over again, but it's hard. It's hard to find reasons that Nebraska can realistically come out here and give us a shot. But it's just Michigan's one of the top teams in the nation, and Nebraska hasn't seen that yet. So yeah, no, it's gonna be tough, especially if this offense can't get it going.
My third reason to be scared is we have a not only struggling offensive line, but honestly quite atrocious offensive line. Um, Michigan averages 3.5, over 3.5 actually, sacks a game versus decent offensive lines. In the Big Ten, look for them to get like 6, 7, 8 in this game. It's like they're going to come after you. And another reason, young quarterback, Chuba's in there. Chuba is not poised in the pocket, and he is not going to take long to freak out and throw the ball. Uh, so yeah, that's definitely a reason to be scared. They're going to get after our quarterback, and that never ends well.
Yeah, 100%. So moving on to our X factors. These X factors are pretty big because if you're thinking about X factors that Nebraska needs to do to win this game, you're like miracles need to happen. So my first one is pressure on the QB. I say it every week, but pressure is so important when you're dealing with these Big Ten quarterbacks because usually they don't make mistakes, right? We talked about it. JJ McCarthy has 12 touchdowns on the year, only 2 interceptions. He doesn't really make mistakes, but that's also because he doesn't really get pressured and he has the speed to escape pressure a little bit. So, especially with Miles Farmer out this game, Garrett Nelson and Ochon Mathis need to get after him and need to force mistakes. Need to force mistakes if Nebraska wants any chance in this.
Yeah. So not only my first one is not only do you need to make mistakes, but you have to capitalize on them.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in field goal range, we got to get the field goal. When we're in the 20-yard line, you got to get the touchdown. You cannot make mistakes, and you got to capitalize on every single one of their mistakes, and you got to make plays happen. Things like blocked punts need to happen. Things like big sacks on third down need to happen. Um, what I mean, big plays on defense need to happen, and big plays on offense need to happen because if you want to win a smash mouth nose to the grindstone game against Michigan, good luck because that's the football they play and that's what they're really good at. And that's how Illinois beat us, and that's how Minnesota beat us. If we try to play a game against them like we played against Purdue, we might have a chance. Um, I honestly don't know, but you're not going to out tough this team. You're not going to out condition this team, and you're definitely not going to out grind this team. And so you just got to make things happen the way that App State did to Texas A&M, the way that Georgia Southern did to us, the way you just got to make things happen. And so that's my first X factor, just capitalizing on every single mistake that they make.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that, you just said, I mean, Nebraska's not going to win this game straight up. Like, if nobody makes any mistakes, well, let me take that back. If Michigan doesn't make any mistakes, Nebraska's definitely not winning this game. So, Nebraska needs to get turnovers and they need to jump out to at least a 2-score lead early just to get Michigan in uncomfortable territory. Like they've had close games, like they've been in close games at halftime, but they've never been like down big. And if you get this Michigan team down big and force JJ McCarthy to do something he hasn't done all year and try to throw their way back into the game, it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's what Nebraska needs to try to do. And you need to force turnovers. Like I said, you need to get after the quarterback. You need to get big time sacks. You need to get block punts, like Zach said. It's something needs to happen that's not ordinarily going to happen. You need to return a kick for a touchdown. You need to return a punt for a touchdown. You need to get actually, I mean that's my next one, but yeah, no, something it just can't be a straight up game. Nebraska needs to make mistakes and Nebraska can't make mistakes to win this game.
Yeah, my second one is we've seen time and time again this Nebraska team comes out hot. Pretty much every other game but Rutgers, we've came out hot. We even came out hot against Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
We came out hot against Illinois. We sure as heck came out hot against Minnesota in a game that we should have won. Um, Came out hot against Indiana as well. Not only do you have to come out hot at the start of the game, you need to come out hot at halftime. I don't care if you're getting the ball or giving the ball. At halftime, the first drive has to go your way and the momentum has to go your way, especially in a team like Michigan, because that's where they thrive. That's where they start their first drive, and everything just carries from there. Everything just carries after their first drive at a half. And so either you got to go quick 3 and out or you got to drive down and score, one of the two. If you want to win this game, it's a must. It has to happen. You got to come out fast at half.
Yeah, momentum's a game changer. It really is. And you see it every week in college football. It's just like this is how upsets happen. Is just momentum.
It's how we lost to Minnesota. Momentum is the sole reason we lost to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Momentum is the sole reason we beat Rutgers. It's also the reason we beat Indiana. You feel it. When you're in that stadium, you feel it. When we were in that stadium against Oklahoma, the first 10 minutes, we felt it. The momentum was on our side. The next 2 hours and 50 minutes, the momentum was nowhere near us.
Mm,
Nowhere near us.
yeah, 100%. So my last X factor is big plays, and I kind of mentioned it, but Michigan's the second best defense in the country statistically, and I mean they're only behind Illinois. I think they're better than Illinois, so that's in my opinion the best defense in the country. They don't give up a lot of yards, they don't give a lot of points, so broken plays don't really happen, but they need to happen. Trey Palmer needs to get open deep and take one to the house. Anthony Grant needs to break a big run, a big 40, 50-yard run. Logan Smothers needs to scramble for 60, 50, 40 yards. Something needs to happen because Nebraska needs to take advantage of anything they can get because they're not going to get a lot. At least on paper, they're not going to get a lot. I do think Nebraska can have some success early, maybe with the option, maybe with some short passes, maybe with RPO games. If you're getting them on their toes and you throw it over the top to Trey Palmer, I think something like that can happen. But as we said, this team's going to adjust. So you need to take advantage of every single opportunity you get. If you see Trey Palmer open downfield, you need to throw it. Like, you're not going to win this game dinking and dunking. Like, it's just not going to work. And to beat a top team, you need to make big plays. And I mean, I guess we'll see if we can do it. But recently we haven't been able to do it. But I do think that it can happen because you see it. I mean, Trey Palmer went off for over 240 yards against Purdue. So you know he can get open. You know he can get beat deep. Sure, that's Purdue and this is Michigan, but the speed is real. So it's there. The big plays are there. They just need to happen.
Yeah, my third one is play calling's got to get creative here. I'm not talking run a flea flicker on every play or anything like that, but you also just can't run the ball up the middle 2 times and then try to throw an out route to Trey Palmer or a receiver screen to Trey Palmer. That's not going to work against this defense. They know that's what we do, and we know what they do, but they're just good enough to where it doesn't matter. We're not that good. We're not good enough to where it doesn't matter. And so you got to make it to where they don't know what we're going to do and they have no idea if we're going to run or pass and they have no idea where the ball is going. Um, and honestly, I feel like Mark Whipple's really good at that, but he's also, like we said last week or last episode, very stubborn in the run, and the run needs to be established this game if we're going to have any chance. And so he needs to not only run the ball, but get a little creative when it comes to play calling.
Yeah, 100%. No, hopefully Mickey got in his ear a little bit this week and convinced him that running the ball is what is the Big Ten. Like, running the ball is the Big Ten. And Mark Whipple's coming from ACC. He went to the NFL. Like, those are pass heavy um, atmospheres, and pass heavy offenses work in those atmospheres. So maybe, yeah, I don't blame him for doing it for so long and wanting to do it because when he's done it, it's worked. So, but it just doesn't work here. And that's what he needs to realize. And I do think he's a good offensive coordinator. I do think he's a good play caller. He just needs to get out of his own head and really accept that what he's done for so many years now just isn't going to work anymore. Like, you are at a different place. You're not in the ACC. You don't have a first round pick quarterback. You don't have an NFL quarterback. Like, this is different type of football and you need to figure it out. And I do think he's smart enough to do it. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I hope they run the ball. But getting into our score predictions, I'll go first. It's not realistic to think that Nebraska wins this game. It's just, I mean, we try to be really realistic here. We try to be really positive. There's a difference between being positive and being delusional, I think. And I think at points we have been a little bit delusional. I think because I think we made like a YouTube short. We made like a YouTube short earlier this year, like, are Nebraska fans delusional? And someone like just commented on it last night, said, obviously, I mean, look at the season and look what you guys expected. So Yeah, no, what we expected has not came to fruition. So
That's not fair, though. That's not fair. It's not. It's straight up. It's not fair. I mean, Alabama fans didn't expect to be 7-2 right now, but here we
sure.
are.
Sure. So
Delusional,
yeah,
probably because they
getting back
win.
to
We
getting
win.
back to our score prediction. My score prediction is we do cover. We do cover the 31-point spread, but still lose. 38-17 Michigan is my final 21-point game. I do think this game probably like 10-10 at half, 14-10, maybe Michigan's up a little bit, maybe even like 17-10. Michigan's up. It's just hard for me to believe that Nebraska can even replicate what they did last week just because Michigan is just so much better than Minnesota. So 17 points is kind of being generous, I'll be honest, but I do think with Smothers, and I mean Smothers got to start. Like it's gotta be Smothers. It just can't be Chuba this week. There's I don't know. It would just make no sense if Chuba started this week. But and Smothers, I do think can effectively move the ball a little bit better than Chuba did. So I do think a little bit more points will be scored. And 38-17, 21-point game. I mean, it sucks to predict that, but being realistic, I think that's the not best case scenario because I do think there's some sort of small chance that Nebraska can figure out a way to keep this really close. But yeah, I think 38-17 is it's a pretty good prediction.
Yeah, so my prediction is going to be just for the sole reason that I want to be happy on Sunday and Monday. Um, so I'm gonna go somewhat close to Caleb's score. Uh, I'm actually gonna go 28-17 Michigan here. And I would be happy with that, to be honest with you. Um, it's not something I want to admit that I'll be happy with a loss, but I would be happy with that because I feel like that shows that we are capable, with a little bit of coaching and a little bit more recruiting and a little bit more development, and we can be right up there. I have no doubt in my mind that in 3-4 years we're right up here with Michigan if we get the right coach in here. I have no doubt because we have, I think, the best recruiter in the country. Um, I think we're gonna pull in a good O line coach. We're already getting good offensive linemen in here. We've got good skill in the running back room. We've got good skill in the QB room. And as far as stats goes, name a better guy or name a guy with a better wide receiver coach resume than Mickey Joseph. Uh, I don't think there's any reason we can't be up there with maybe not number three, number one in the country, but once this 12 team playoff comes out, I think for sure we can, in the next 4-5 years,
And
there's no reason we shouldn't be up there in that 12 team playoff conversation with the pieces that we have on the staff and what we're getting as a recruiting class.
yeah, and even looking at like looking at these coaching changes, like Tennessee. I mean, this has been a 2-year rebuild, and they're a top 5 team right now, and it's just like it can be done. Like TCU is in the top 4 right now with a first-year head coach, and I guarantee you Nebraska has a better facilities than TCU,
Yeah.
better availability to pay these high end coaches, just a better football school than TCU. So yeah, it can be done, and I'm
And the,
not
the support's there. The
right.
support's there. And I don't care how many times I have to see old people on Facebook tell me the sellout streak is going to end. It's not. And I don't care if donors have to buy tickets and give them away to people in need and veterans and kids in the hospital. I don't care because there's gonna be people in those seats, and I can guarantee you every single person in that seat is gonna root for Nebraska as hard as they can, and everyone there is gonna expect to win in the next few years. That's what it should be. We need to show up to every game expecting to win. Don't care who is coming against us. I don't care if it's Ohio State. I don't care if it's Bama, Georgia, Tennessee in the playoff. I don't care. Every game that we play in the next few years needs to be an expected win.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's all we got for this week. Yeah, this game, I'm definitely. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch this game. But like, hopefully I don't have to turn it off because if it gets bad enough, I don't doubt that I will turn it off. Just because the way the season's gone, I don't know if I can deal with another like watching another.
I'll
Just
never turn off the Nebraska game.
I think there's been one time, but I can't remember. It was the Illinois game, but I didn't really turn it off. I just like had other stuff that I had to get done, and it didn't seem worth it to me to watch it anymore. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I don't have to do that. Hopefully I'm in it till the end because I was watching the Minnesota game until the end. So yeah, close games are just more fun to watch. I don't know how close of a game this is going to be. Hopefully, I do think there's a chance that it's close till the end. Um, I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping for an entertaining game. But Zach, you got anything else?
Nope, that's all from me.
Comment down below your score prediction. We want to see what you guys think. There was some score predictions I saw on Facebook that were pretty all over the place. I think I saw a 77-7 score prediction in Michigan's favor. And then I also saw like 28-7 Nebraska. So yeah, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle of those two because that's a little those are a little extreme for me. But yeah, we will see you guys on Tuesday with a recap. If this is a blowout, don't expect some in-depth recap. Is all I want to say. We might talk about some other things. But yeah, we will have a video on Tuesday. I will say that, or on Wednesday. We'll record it on Tuesday. You'll see it on Wednesday. But yeah, that's all we got. So we will see you guys next week. Stay safe over the weekend. Go Big Red.